83% win rate. Dear Amiral, you can't stand as a captain all your life. Battlecruiser Mines is Imba. This Terran has 83% win rate in TVP, which is suspicious if it were balanced. My early game was decent, then I forced it to retreat of his B3. Watching the replay, I'm quite sure it wasn't worth it. However, I had time to make the composition I thought it was okay. Hydra versus Mines and Corrupteur versus BC. Nope. Sucks. Hydra versus Mines and Corruptor versus BC. Yet he complains about his opponent's TVP win rate. Either he doesn't quite understand what race he's playing himself. No one told him that Protoss is the alien race. He believes that Hydras and Corruptor are Protoss units. And you know what? We'll leave him. We'll leave him with this. I'm not going to be the guy to tell him to ruin his build-off image of what Protoss looks like. Let's continue. I was lacking gas to make more, but I already had 8 gas. I do know what to do. Amiral, I know I sucks due to my MMR, but is it Imba, or do I sucks really hard? Name, Suppo Satan, Race, Zerg, League Diamond, 3.4k MMR, and the server is NA. Alright, we're here on Berlingrad in a TVZ, indeed. So, although this Terran has apparently an 83% win rate in TVP, we are going to be watching a Zerg versus Terran, in which mines and battlecruisers are way too powerful. And you know what? I already agree with this. Mines and battlecruisers are a very powerful combination. Mines kill everything on the ground and in the air, and battlecruisers also kill everything on the ground and in the air. You put these two together and you get the type of synergy that you hardly ever see in life. The only problem with this composition is that it's impossible to truly get into. Staying alive without tanks is extremely difficult. And in general actually, mass mines also isn't that good because you can't really attack into places that easily. It might be great defensively, or at least okay defensively, once you get out like 30 or 40 mines and you have 9 battlecruisers. But attacking into positions is just extremely difficult because mines need to unburrow all the time. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what Fasada no Buxo, interesting name, is going to be playing over here. It starts with a low ground barracks and no gas whatsoever. So this is one of the build orders that I haven't seen before in my life. Okay, well, it's like a gasless expand with a low ground. Well, I don't completely mind it, honestly. If he wants to be going into fast battlecruisers, it might actually not even be that bad. At the same time, we have Suppo Satan, who was the star of today's episode, opening up with a hatchery first, a gas, and a pool. This overlord's going on a little trip behind his own mineral line. Some sightseeing in your own backyard. People don't know this, but very often in the area surrounding your house, like the 5 to 10 kilometers around it, there's a lot of interesting things that you don't really appreciate. And then once you move away, you kind of start missing those things, you know? Or even in your own backyard. Did you know that if you spend an entire day looking at birds in your backyard, you probably have no life, because who has time for that type of stuff? One of my friends once told me this. He was like, Kevin, did you know if you spend an entire day looking for birds in your backyard, that you might see more than 35 different bird species? And I was like, well, first of all, I don't have a backyard. And second of all, why would I go look in my own backyard for 35 different bird species if I could just go online and look at thousands and thousands of bird species? Like, the fact that the bird is landing in my backyard does not make the bird more special. I never quite understood that. I'm terrible at sightseeing as well. Whenever I go to some foreign country with my girlfriend, she was like, we went to Rome, for example. She's like, let's go see the Colosseum. And I Google the pictures. I'm like, well, I think I have a decent idea of what it's going to look like. I can find a lot of information about the Colosseum on Wikipedia as well. So I'm telling her this information, like all the things I know. But then when we get there, she still wants to take a tour by some guide, pay money for that. And I'm just not a great tourist, I guess. And also not a great tourist of the backyard. But that is not really relevant to this game that we're watching here, which is a ZVT. 4 queens opener so far. Fast speed, single drone in gas. This build order actually looks pretty tight. The only thing we're missing so far is a scout. No, we're also getting a scout. We'll see the double factory, and we should see continued queen production at this point. So you kind of want to be building a queen from this base and from this base, continue spreading creep with the new queen. So it's actually kind of easy. The way that Zerg works is that whenever a queen pops from a hatchery, you inject once, you start a new queen, from the natural on the third, and then the queen that just did this first inject will join the other queens in creeping. However, for some reason, Supo Satan is not actually building more queens. And not building more queens is almost always a mistake in the early game. The queen is a little bit it's like baking soda in StarCraft 2, you know? If there's anything wrong in your house, 99% of the time, baking soda will be part of the fix. Whether that is a solo mission for the baking soda or if there's some vinegar involved as well, it doesn't matter. It's similar for Zerg with the queen. If there is a problem that the Zerg has, especially in the first 10 to 12 minutes of the game, 99% of the time, this hole in your play can be patched by adding more queens initially into your game, especially if you're going to be floating 1k minerals. The interesting thing is that Zerg doesn't actually have enough larva in the early game to continuously be building or to not start floating units, even if you have perfect injects, because drones just don't cost so much, and you know they use up larva very quickly, which is why continuous queen production, first of all, it saves larva. Because if you're building queens and your opponent attacks you with, let's say, Hellions, you don't really need to build lynx or roaches against that. However, if you don't have the queens, you need to cut your drones. So building queens is an economical play in every single way. It's just, like I said, the baking soda of Zerg, for sure. It fixes all of your problems. Trust me on that. Now, if we're looking at the Terran, he does have a third base already floating over. And we see that Supo Satan is going to go in for a bit of an overseer scout here. I always do like a cheeky overseer scout. Allows you to see everything. Now, he already is aware of the fact that there was a third CC. He saw the double factory. He saw the two armory. Oh, sorry, no. One eBay, one armory. And a fusion core also being built here. So, yeah, there's a lot of information. It's kind of important that the overseer goes in, but even at this point, he should already know that most likely there's going to be battle cruisers, because almost every mech opener in the world has battle cruisers. It still would be nice to get that confirmation, though, especially, I guess he's going to wait for the pneumatized carapace. This is really cool, by the way, and I kind of want to talk about this. I'll pause here for a second. This hatchery, it looks stupid, but it actually is not stupid at all. If you're going to make a macro hatchery, I don't mind it being in this type of a position, because it means that the reinforcements are going to hit faster wherever you want them, whether that is in an attack or in a defense. The only thing you need to be aware of is that you're not going to ruin your own unit movement so much that like a drop in a cheeky position would be able to deal more damage because of this hatchery. But otherwise, I actually really like this. I like this even more than just straight up building it in the main base. I actually think this is one of the things that some of the top Zerg players don't do correctly, and Supo Satan over here is doing it. I don't think you can build like 3 hatcheries like that, because it's going to interfere with your unit movement. You probably don't want one next to your third base, but here, in this type of area, yeah, I actually think it's quite good. It cuts off 4 or 5 seconds of travel time. This is a really cool move, Supo Satan. Now, what isn't a cool move is the Hydralisk. Hydralisk are some of the worst units that the Zerg can make against mech, at least in my mind. If you're going for Hydras, you really need to rush out fast Vipers, and you need to be continuously trading with a Hydra Roach Viper, I guess. This is not really a composition that we see a whole lot. It really fell out of fashion, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We used to see some Hydra Bane against mech, I think, back in the day. But even that we don't see at all anymore, honestly. Nowadays, majority of the time, it's going to be a initial Roach defense into Corruptors to deal with the battle cruisers. And then, just for a very long time, sticking with that Roach Ravager, high drone count, eventually going into Infestors, and all types of other stuff. Banelings being added in as well to start blowing up planetary. So, yeah, This is a very old school style, but if you're rushing into Vipers and you have a pretty decent early game, which I think Supo Satan definitely had, it might not even be that bad, honestly. I do start to worry a little bit because he's floating a fair amount of money, and he's still not aware of the fact that there's right now 2 starports producing battlecruisers. And although he has a Hydra then, he's only built 8 Hydras for anti-air. The queen count is very little, because apparently Supo Satan does not require any baking soda in his life. The worker count on the fort is a little bit low initially. I believe we already could be a lot higher because nothing has really happened. Let's not forget that so far the only interaction that these players had is 2 mines going down, 2 marines going down, 4 links and 2 hydras and overlord. Like, practically nothing has died at this point, and there has been no pressure whatsoever on Supo Satan either, who's right now building 8 Ravagers without having any info whatsoever on what his opponent is doing. There is 6 starport battlecruiser, and the best thing that he can come up with is to get 9 Ravagers, 17 Roaches, 2 more Overseers as well, by the way. I love that. This Overseer still hasn't scouted anything. Let's see the 5th base flying over. Yeah, where initially I think the eco looked quite good for Supo Satan, right now he probably needed to attack a long time ago, and an attack would have required more Hydras than what we currently have, because with just 8 Hydras against 2 battlecruisers, I have a feeling that just isn't going to be good enough. So you're just going to be walking into some big trouble. This actually is probably one of the first things you're going to lose to if you're completely new to StarCraft, is that you have units that don't shoot up but are ranged. I remember when I first saw the Roach, I thought this was the dumbest concept in the world. I was like, man, this guy has a range attack but he can't shoot up. And it didn't work in my head whatsoever. I just couldn't grasp it for some reason. Absolutely pissed me off. To be fair, I'm not the smartest guy, but it really did piss me off. Now, at this point, Supo Satan sees the battlecruisers, knows that there's mines here as well. I still think attacking into this might not actually be bad. Because you could maybe clear... Could clear the mines and a bunch of workers. He threw a couple of biles on his own face. I kind of want to go back there in that moment. That's pretty wild. Look at this. It almost feels like he's rapid firing these biles as well. Just the way he's throwing them around. This is the first as well. Usually you see Zergs, they use their overlords to tank mine shots and try to fly them on top of the Terran bio army. But Supo Satan has a different trick. He uses the overlords to trick the widow mines into splash damaging on top of the roaches. That's absolutely brilliant play. I've never seen something like this before, but I'm learning all types of new things over here. Look at this. Couple of biles just throwing them down on himself for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Not a single SCV is being attacked. This refinery, however, is getting it. This sensor tower is getting it as well. Refinery getting it. And now majority of the SCVs still managed to escape. Great fight. So far, Supo Satan has killed absolutely nothing. Bar maybe like 4 or 5 workers. And he took out a refinery as well as a sensor tower. And he lost his entire ground force. Literally every single ground... Well, not literally. Almost literally every single ground unit. He also said he had 8 gas, but he's not really mining from 8 gas. He's not enough workers in this one. Maxes out on Hydras. It's an interesting call. And the reason that's an interesting call is because he already has a Spire about to finish up. And I reckon you'd much rather get Corruptors against this army than Hydras. I do believe you're going to need something to deal with the mines at this point. And Ravagers are actually kind of okay at that as well. I mean, you can bile at mines and that will kill mines. You can outrange them as well with your Ravager. So the Ravager Corruptor composition would still work perfectly. Now the Hydra link composition, this is the absolute sickest composition. I'm not quite sure what these links are for. Cannon fodder maybe. Oh, maybe he's like, you know what? It worked so well with the Overlord earlier. When I pulled my opponent's army, when I put my opponent's Widow Mines on top of my Roaches, this time I want to see if I can also do that with links. And maybe that's going to be the goal of these links. I love this single Ravager in the army as well. It's a very big play. Some scouting links going in right now. 35 Widow Mines. Very interesting. I wonder if I can attack into this. Oh, yeah. This gave him the green light. I love that so much. He scouts 6 battlecruisers, 25 mines in position. He has... What does he have? It's like 15 Hydras or so. No, this is all the Hydras, right? Is there, no, there's some Hydras at home. Okay, so there's like 15, 16 Hydras, a Ravager, and 30-ish Lynx. And he's like, yeah, that seems fine. This is going to be the fight that I want to take right now. It's a brilliant play. Mines start burrowing. Why do you scout if you don't understand what you're seeing? Absolutely no shot. This is like a guy that can't read going up to a sign and pretending like he understands what it says. Like, right. So, it's like, it doesn't work, mate. If you can't read, don't go towards a sign and pretend that you can. It's the same here. Don't scout if you don't know what to do with the information anyway. Just give up. If you want to attack, don't pretend that you're waiting for the scout to confirm it. You know, just attack. Just go for it. I don't care. No one's going to judge you. You're playing in the Platinum League. So good. I like that he remaxed on Lynx as well. After that less successful fight where he killed half a Widow Mine, he decided that building 50 more Lynx was going to be the correct answer here. Yeah, some high-level thinking. More mines moving in right now. And now you're actually in a pretty tricky situation, funnily enough, in which you don't have anything to deal with the mines. You finally do have your corruptors. I should have checked this earlier. Oh boy. 14k resources lost against 4.2k. I think this has to be one of the sickest ratios that I've ever seen. I can't actually remember more than 3.5 times. That is really difficult, even with Zerg. This guy is extremely efficient. Holy crap. It actually is very, very impressive. Now, these mines are continuing to move in. At this point, I really do believe that the position is quite bad for Super Satan. He still should just not be building Lynx, though. I like getting some spines as a defensive measure against these mines. I even would have preferred getting a couple of Ravagers here. That would have been absolutely fantastic. At the same time, he did manage to kill the 5th base, and he's mining... Well, he could be mining from some of these bases as well. He has 20 larvae and 3,500 minerals. And I've seen this before, actually, from Zerg players at the lower level. And it's one of the things that I actually do not quite understand. So, one of the most difficult things with Zerg is spreading creep and injecting. Like, the macro mechanics of Zerg are actually quite difficult to use. And often what I see in these lower level games is that Zergs at least inject, or they have plenty of larvae, but then they don't just use them. And spamming larvae is actually the easiest macro mechanic in the entire game, because you have all hatcheries on a single control group, you press the S button for select larvae, and then you just build whatever you want, like 25 at a time. So he could just immediately re-drone up into these bases, get up the 10 gas, and probably still be capable of playing a game here. Let's not forget his opponent is on a pure, well, 10 battlecruisers is a lot though. And even if you're gonna get a lot of these corruptors, at this point I think you need to... Yeah, I think you're forced to get into some type of infestor. A, for the fungal, so they can't teleport away. And B, for the neural parasite, so you can use some of your opponent's Yamato cannons on themselves. You can maybe use a teleport as well, and, you know, just for some extra tanking power. Having 5 battlecruisers fighting on your side is always good, of course. So yeah, I really would have liked... I think these 18 drones are a good call. I wouldn't have minded seeing some injects, which we, by the way, haven't been seeing. I said that he had a lot of larvae, but all of these larvae were literally just... He had 21 larvae, and I guess he has, what, 6 hatches? Yeah, he has 6 hatches. So he did a single inject. And now he's doing another single inject on all of his bases. Yeah, the injects just haven't been too good. Still, 12 larvae available, and he's just not really spending it. 27 corruptors. The upgrades for the corruptors also really, really suck. Despite him having 2 spires. I guess he's getting 1-1. I'm not going to flame him for that. I'll allow it. It's completely fine. A couple of Hydras are being rebuilt here, probably to try and deal with the Widow Mines, not realizing that the Ravagers would kind of fulfill that role in a better way. Has he scouted anything? The range of Yamato is crazy. No? That's actually insane. Look at that. Poof. I feel like you should always keep vision in order for the Yamato to land. Is sick spell. Absolutely crazy spell. Yeah, Corruptors anyway. Corruptors moving in right now. Some interesting snipes actually. Might have worked if you would have continued. It was kind of scary, of course, there with that mine burrow. Good control though, so far on the Vipers. I also wouldn't have minded like a single, or sorry, on the Vipers, on the Corruptors. I wouldn't have minded a Viper here to just pull one or two of these battle cruisers into this army. I think that would have been quite cool. Now, there's nothing There's absolutely nothing to deal with the mines, so every fight is just going to be really, really scary. You just need something to deal with the mines, even if it's just some Ravagers, some Fungals. All of it would just be kind of a-okay. Yeah, now this fight is just going to get absolutely blasted, right? You have 2-2 upgrades. Mines are still hitting as well on these Corruptors. There's still legit 15k resources in the bank for the Terran. This Terran is actually... This is a crazy units lost stat. Like, even for a TVZ. This is actually crazy. 3 times as much in a somewhat of a mid to late game. GG gets called and the game ends. Now, honestly, if I was a Zerg player and I would have played a game like this and I would have watched the replay, I don't think I would ever in a million years dare complaining. Right? Like... There's just so many objective failures which aren't difficult theoretically at all. Like I'm not even talking unit composition or anything like that, but just the fact that the saturation on the fort was extremely late, despite there being literally zero pressure for the first 8 minutes of the game. Well, you could be saying, well, the Terran was too stupid to put any pressure on, but at the same time, if there's no pressure on you, then that's good for you. If your opponent is stupid, you should be capable of abusing that. The fact that you can't abuse your opponent being stupid makes you dumber. And then you should be allowed to lose. On top of that, I don't think you actually ever ended up scouting your opponent's starboard. You literally had an overseer next to his main base at like the 8 or 7 minute mark, something like that. How can you not figure out what's going on? As a result, your unit composition ends up being incorrect.
Like I'm not even talking unit composition or anything like that.
Your injects legitimately sucked. Your creep spread was terrible for nothing happening. You had like 3 lanes of creep in a 16-minute game, where once again, the Terran really did not clear too many creep tumors. The Terran took out 9 creep tumors total. Like, how many did you end up? You end up with 17 tumors. It's just not good enough. It really is just not good enough. I'm not even sure if you've injected more than 10 times. I think maybe in the natural you've injected like 4 or 5 times, but on the other bases, like these bases might have gotten a single inject. Like the macro has been improper, the scouting was bad. So your mechanics already kind of sucked. And then on top of that, your game knowledge and your theoretical understanding of this matchup is absolutely non-existent. You build Roach Hydra against Mine Battlecruiser, you realize that doesn't work, then you remax on Ling Hydra. After scouting that your opponent is in position with an army 3 times the size of yours, you decide to attack in. Literally all of your decisions have been incorrect. Your unit compositions have been incorrect the entire way through. Like, there's no saving people like you. Like, your opponent, it doesn't matter if it's Mine BC or if it would have been Tank Cyclone or if it would have been Mass Store, you would have built the wrong composition to counter it anyway. Honestly, having an ape decide what composition you'd have to play probably nets better result than this. You sometimes have these monkeys that get to pick like 10 different stocks at the start of the year, and I believe they used to always outperform like these professional stock pickers. These professional investors. I feel the same here. Like, if we'd get a monkey to pick your unit composition, just purely based on chance, there'd be a higher chance that he gets to a better comp. And that's just really bad. So, Yeah, we put that all together, and at the end of the day, my friend, it is not Terran that is Imba. It is not Terran that gives this guy an 83% win rate. It's people like you playing bad compositions with bad mechanics that give him that 83% win rate. It's not Imba. You just suck. That's going to be it for today. Thanks all so much for watching to this fantastic episode of IODIS. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you all next time for more videos. Don't forget to link this to your friends and your family as well. We're looking for new people to recruit into the StarCraft scene. So if you know anyone that doesn't have any real hobbies yet, they're like, ooh, I wouldn't mind this person ruining 5 hours a day trying to improve their Zerg, Terran, or Protoss. Well, then be sure to introduce them to this beautiful game of StarCraft 2. All right, that's going to be it. Bye-bye.